Hello everyone and welcome back into this presentation of the Challenger Series as part of the Stock Series here on the PRA network. Joining me in the booth tonight, 81, will be, yet again, just like last week, Redline. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, really stoked for this Watkins Glen's race today.
Indeed, so as he mentioned, we're here at Watkins Glen International, the short version of the circuit, the 12-corner variant, 11-corner variant. We got through qualifying already, so you may have seen some issues yesterday, just kind of getting through qualifying and everything. Took a bit longer to set up, so we kind of skipped that this time, got everything set up. No qualifying sessions need to be worried about as we're getting starting order set up and ready to go racing sooner rather than later. So here tonight at Watkins Glen, the Challenger Series will be running 25 laps. Pretty much stretching out their entire pit stint, possibly wearing down the tires, running low on fuel potentially. We will see how these guys manage, especially the tires.
Absolutely. As we saw, I could see at this track once again, we're going to probably see some previous stunt strategies back at Sardinia last week. But here we are at Watkins Glen. I can see those left sides being just as worn this time instead of being the right. And we can see them drive. I can predict a lot more drivers trying to do that long, soft stint as we saw last week.
Indeed, as we kind of come into the action here, we can do a little bit of a breakdown of our qualifying sessions. So we held 2 qualifying sessions before we went live. 1 session with the Toyotas, 8 Toyotas attempting to qualify tonight, and then the second lobby had the Fords and the Chevys. So out of those 2 lobbies, I will go through the Toyotas first. So for the Toyotas, let's see here, I have the qualifying. It is Boring Peppers who will be on the pole of the main race and qualifying best out of the Toyotas with a 1:13.642. Joining him second on the grid will be another Toyota. I'm just hyper with a 1:13.735. 11T joining him as well, 1:13.965. And Guitar Hero is a 1:14.056. Those are your top 4 Toyotas for tonight's race.
Well, for the Chevys now, as I was in the other qualifying session today, we got Pocono up in the taking pole of the Chevys today. He got a 1:13.917. It was a pretty decent lap there for the Chevy. Following up, we got B-Dog in his 31 machine with a 1:14.047. Next, we got Wolfpack in the number 55 machine with a 1:14.242. Rounding out the Chevys for the guaranteed 4, we got On a Mission with his number 5 machine with a 1:14.358. Now on to the Fords. We have Joystick Justin taking a 1:14.134, followed up by Trent in his 33 machine with a 1:14.239. We got Tyro in his number 60 with a 1:14.558, as well as we got That Black Sierra in the number 9 with a 1:14.687.
As we will also go over our wildcard drivers for tonight. So how our qualifying works is the top 4 from each manufacturer between Ford, Chevy, and Toyota will make it into the final cut, and with 2 positions left on the board, the next 2 best qualifiers who did not automatically qualify out of both lobbies will make it in. One of those drivers being the Toyota of Frylock, who is looking just barely scraped into this race, but looking to make a major impression here tonight.
I want to make a correction. I made a mistake. It was not Black Sierra who was in. It was actually Lyosis with his 12 with a 1:15.353. That was on me.
As we're still kind of doing a pre-race warm-up after the qualifying, get everyone ready to go, while B-Dog finalizes the starting order So we are fine set. I'm going to guess a little bit of a breakdown of the track itself here at the Watkins Glen International Short Circuit.
As we see here at this track, it's going to be a lot of fast corners here. It's turn one. It's going to be a really hard track. It's going to be a big braking zone into turn one here, as it's going to be a hard sharp right into that big braking zone for big passes. Then you go into turn two, into two through turn four, as we got to go through the S's where our fast right, left, right S's. Then you got the bus stop in the inner loop. It's going to be a very interesting track layout. That would be a big point, another big braking zone, as well as the fact that that bus stop can be hazardous for penalties. Next into turn 5, aka the carousel at Watkins Glen. It's going to be a fast section there as drivers go on the straight through the penalty zone if they acquired a penalty into turn 6 and 7. 6 is going to be really important for drivers as they make it to third and final big braking zone into turn 6, making it very hard to pass. Then we got turn 7 where it's going to round out to the start finish line. It's going to be a great race here for that big braking zones, big turns. Can be great for racing.
Indeed, pretty solid breakdown as the major overtaking points in last night's Sportsman Series race, especially into turn 5 bus stop, and through that section, turn 10 and 11. As I'll make a slight correction on your end, the whole bus stop section actually counts. Each corner counts its own corner, according to the track map. So you'll have that 5 through 8 section, with 9 being the carousel. Running wide is going to be a very big factor here on this track tonight, especially with penalties and our penalty zone being featured on the back straight. Part of Gran Turismo system. How it works is if you cut a corner or you run too far wide than the track likes, which here typically will be as long as you keep two tires on the yellow and red curbs, will be fine in most parts of the track. But slowing down to take your penalty on the back straight right past the carousel, as we are here right now at turn 9, and see those yellow areas ahead, that is the slowdown zone. The most threatening parts of the track for people taking penalties is running wide for turn 1, cutting the bus stop, and running wide into turn 10. As we now line up side by side with Boring Peppers on the pole, Hyper right beside him, a top 3 of Toyotas looking to hold that front line for their manufacturer, with Pocono looking to stick his nose in there in the Chevy in 4th. As we get everyone else situated and rounding out the rest of the pack. As we make it around turn 10 to turn 11, as we're only going to go green for our first lap of 25 here at Watkins Glen International. As we round turn 11 to the front stretch, whenever we're given the green, we'll see Boring Peppers take us away as we get everyone situated in line.
Here we go, coming up to the start finish line. Here we go, and boogity, let's go! Watkins Glen Racing! As we see him approaching turn 1 here, as we're going to see him go 3 wide, going through the middle of the pack. It's going to be a mad dash here, as we see Boring Peppers barely holding on to that. It's going to go 3 wide for the leader of the race, as we see Pocono going up inside, Hyper on the outside. Boring Peppers is shoving Hyper out of here. Hyper looking for another opportunity here as Pocono trying to get that lead away from Boring Peppers. As we go on in the back straight here, going towards the bus stop, we see Boring Peppers remaining in the lead for the time being by a hair. As we see Pocono going for a dive up in the inside. It's going to be really interesting here as we hope they don't get too many penalties. And Liberty looking on the inside of Hyper as we see Pocono leading here Boring Peppers leaving here in that Cheetos 92 machine. As we go into the penalty zone, Pocono looking inside out, outside, as we can find it way past Boring Peppers. As we go into the final couple corners here, Boring Peppers leading, Pocono looking the inside, can't seem to find a way around. Hyper is now trying to trail in to catch back up with Pocono. Levity looking around Hyper, trying to get a lead. As we see Pocono at the final corner, trying to go for a pass on the front tread. He's got a run on the outside. Boring Pepper is going to go across the front finish line in first. As we see Pocono back into turn 1 here. Foreign Peppers making Pocono go right to side by side into turn 1. Hyper going to look around, trying to see if he can follow Pocono through the S's. As we see, Foreign Pepper also again has relinquished that position to Pocono. Hyper's going to try to capitalize on the fact that Pocono is going for a pass. As we go in the back straight, we see Foreign Pepper's going to fall back another position to Hyper as he followed Pocono. As we go back into the bus stop here, we can see 11. He's going to go choo-choo train right behind all those. Foreign Peppers hit the back end of Hyper, shoving him through the corners. We see him also touch the grass out here. As that rounds out the first opening couple laps.
As we now see B-Dog taking the inside of 11T. Loving the energy here, Redline, as these guys on the track are feeling that energy as well. Only 3 laps through, 22 to go, as 11T with a purple second sector looking to get past B-Dog into turn 10 and through turn 11, looking to hold on to that 4th position. Looking now to take a shot at the top 3 as Hyper did get past Foreign Peppers. Taking the lead is Pocono, setting the fastest lap 1:14.5 for now. We'll see if anyone behind can extend that purple time. As we now have the Tar Hero on the tail of B-Dog, smelling blood in the water. 11T running a little wide up front, but keeping it together well enough. The Tar Hero is going to sniff a possible turn 5 overtake on B-Dog. Turn 5. The entry to the bus stop has been a key overtaking point so far this week, as he's just going to get it done through turn 4 with a better run onto the straight between the S's and the bus stop. B-Dog's going to let him go for now, knowing it's not his fight to pick for the current moment, as top 4 are going to look to check out of this race, including 11T sitting behind Boring Peppers. 11T winner of last week's race at Sardinia. Very solid performance from him with the consistency in tow. Looking to repeat this week, but I don't think he's going to be given as much of a gap as he had last week to take off. As we now round turn 11 once again, he's going to take a look on the inside of Boring Peppers, see if he get this first move done. Boring Peppers, you can see on the back of his car the green stripes. That means he is a unrestricted free agent, meaning he could be picked up by any team at any time.
As we see the running into these first 5 laps here at Watkins Glen, to see as everyone's getting into a rhythm, trying to find their way, to make sure that they don't overheat those tires, make sure they keep the most amount of tire grip as they can with those tire wear.
As we're going to take a look a bit further back in the pack right now, this fight for ninth is heating up between Automation, Joystick Justin, and Tyro, going through the turn 4 S's, past the chute, onto the straight, to the bus stop. Let's see who's going to get the move done. Tyro looking the inside, going to maybe make it 3-1 as Frylock hits the inside wall. And that will be a tally for Frylock, as first tally of 2. 2 tallies is what will bring out a caution here. But these 3 make it through that very hairy situation fairly unscathed, only now getting an extra position, looking to make a run on Matt Moore. As Joystick Justin holds on to 8th, Tyro gets into 9th, and Automation falls back to 10th. Taking a look of rounding out the pack, Wolfpack is going to make the last pass on Frylock, as Frylock falls to the back of the pack for the time being. Automation now, sizing up Tyro just a little bit, look for the 9th spot. As we're going to head back up again, we have a group of Guitar Hero and B-Dog stuck between that group of 7 to 11. Kind of sitting there on their own, looking at his Boring Peppers with a 1.5 second penalty. So that might bring him back to Guitar Hero and B-Dog after this lap is said and done. Pocono is the one who's looking to check out. Pocono looking to advance on the championship standings, currently sitting in 2nd place after winning the Daytona race week 1. He's looking to pass 11T in the standings and get himself on top, along with his team, NTG Elite Racing. His teammate B-Dog sitting in 6th for this race. A lot of moving pieces still as we are here about halfway through the season, looking to see who will strike by the end and take it home championship, the inaugural stock series.
Absolutely. And if you notice here at that bus stop before Firelight got really loose there. And so I noticed when I did my drive along here at Watkins Glen, you'll notice that if you don't hit that bus stop quite right, then there's going to be a big jump on your front right portion of your car due to that first apex on that rubble strip. And it really causes an upset of the car. It will cause you to really spin out if you're not careful here. As we see Pocono as we approaches the bus stop for the first time. It's all about keeping control over the car, over these big rubble strips, and make sure you don't cut too much, because if you cut too much, it's going to cause too much problems for you later down the road.
As we're going to check in the race for 4th, 5th, and 6th, B-Dog gets moved down on Guitar Hero through the bus stop to move up to 5th. Guitar Hero and him were side by side, contact through the chute, and the S is not getting it done there, though, as Boring Peppers has indeed fallen back to them briefly, but B-Dog and Guitar Hero infighting in the bus stop is giving Boring Peppers the space to gap out those two and get back into the main fight, as Frylock is now DNF'd out of the race. We'll have License in 11th running the line a little bit, trying to catch the top 10, as we have the fight for 8th back on between Tyro and On a Mission. Joystick Justin still sitting a little bit behind, watching these two go at it. We're going to see if On a Mission goes for the dive to turn 1. Not going to do it. He's going to wait out Tyro, possibly get the run into the S's as they make it through there. Moving back up the pack to the front group just a little bit. Pocono is trying to check out Hyper in second with 11T on his tail. 11T is possibly looking for a push to get into second place. 11T, the current points leader after winning the Sardinia race. Him and Pocono are in the main fight for the title right now. 11T with 30 points, Pocono with 27. So Pocono being 3 points behind means he would have to get a 3-point gain on 11T in this race. Currently, he's sitting here with a 2-point gain. Well, actually, no, he would have a 3-point gain to tie it, including the bonus point for fastest lap. B-Dog runs wide into the wall, out of turn 11 onto the front straight. Guitar Hero's gonna have to run to get past B-Dog and back into 5th place, as we're here going on to lap 9 of 25 here at Watkins Glen Circuit. We will take a brief look at these displays for the tires. Yeah, you can see on Guitar Hero's car, that front left really struggling to hold up. Just like Sardinia, the front lefts on these cars are really fragile. Those tires, especially as I mentioned, that front left, going to go out pretty quick, especially as we cycle through the pack. Most of these guys on racing softs, trying to deal with the tire where everyone's fuel, I believe, should make it to the end. But these tires, they might want to take a stop at some point, not to lose too much speed, as we had Hyper running out wide there. Especially with this tire where, even on fresh tires, it's hard not to run wide on this track at some points. But especially with the worn tires, it will be very tough to keep your car on track. As we are back in 5th and 6th, Guitar Heroes runs wide. B-Dog is looking to get the run to take that 5th spot back. This is going to be a really good battle going on through most of this race, as the top 3 aren't really fighting too much right now, other than 11T trying to make an impression on Hyper, maybe hoping to get him to mess up at some point. Take a look further back. Matt Moore has gapped 8 and 9 with their fight. Mission still trying to get past Tyro. It hasn't been able to happen just yet. Joystick Justin still on the tail of these two, waiting for an opportunity to strike.
Absolutely. As we see here is that we're starting to see that drivers are going to start spacing out, and we're going to probably see a lot more strategy here come into play here as we approach the halfway mark at about 12 to 13 laps. As we see here, we'll probably see maybe like couple drivers maybe try to go for a double stint with softs, but I really think that the play here today is going to be really about holding those softs and how long you can hold them. I can see also with this fact that the softs, as they get worn, they can also make the car loose and turn better as we go around these long portions of the tracks, because with these cars I notice is that you can really plow into those, making sure to go wide, but if that tire wear could actually make sure to help those drivers as they make around these corners here at this track.
It depends on the corner. I personally want to know what car you were driving. I'd love to get my hands on that car. But from my experience, some of these corners, especially with the front left being the one that's going out, will hurt a lot of these drivers. B-Dog does run a little bit wider than he would like, does get the penalty for it, 0.5 seconds. So his work onto Guitar Hero will be all for nothing at the current moment. He's going to have to start from scratch, as Joystick Justin's now going to make a jump on Mission. Mission himself ran wide in turn 1 as well, and will be taking the 0.5 penalty. With that front left tire going out, a lot of right-handers here will be very tough to take with that tire not giving you the traction you need. Running wide would be very easy to do on a completely burned out left tire, especially the carousel's really hard to get right coming with rough tires. Even this early into the race, say it's 11 laps, but this is still less than halfway there, and making the tires last that long, some of these guys might actually pit for new softs. I would see that being a possibility.
Absolutely. As I can also notice in here, as looking at telemetry data, is that these cars farther back in the pack are actually like relatively keeping well conservative on their tires. As we see on a mission here, he's only halfway compared to Pocono, who's almost pretty much shot through his entire tire. I can see that these drivers in the back are actually trying to conserve that tire and make sure they can lap pretty consistently and see if they can catch up later and really burn those tires to bring them back to Pocono in front.
That is a very good observation on these tires as we're taking a look here. Well, one thing I will point out is of the drivers in the back, most of them actually running racing hards. So that would explain why they're a little bit off pace, but hoping the time that they lose per lap is not enough, or it's enough to beat out having to take a whole pit stop on softs. Though a few drivers back here I will point out, On a Mission, Wolfpack. Yeah, On a Mission and Wolfpack have done an amazing job at conserving their soft tires this far into the race, as the other guys around them are on the harder compound. We'll have more consistency later on, but even Lysis, sitting back here in 11th, his racing hard tires, even the front left of his, is looking to have some strong wear of its own. But as
Absolutely.
you do take...
I also want to point out is that Matt Morg is also doing pretty decent on his tires, even though he's leading this backpack here. As we can see him, he's also on the softs, but not as shot compared to the people up front.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, especially the guys up front. The reason they're going so fast is because they have to push those tires for everything they have. As you see, B-Dog had a long fight with Guitar Hero to the point where it completely shot his tires. For Guitar Hero himself, after that battle, his tires are not looking great either. Boring Peppers actually runs wide out of the bus stop turn 8, possibly due to the tire wear going in a little too fast. As you can see him really struggling to get this car turned around the carousel. As we take a look at the top 3, yeah, those tires are really struggling. But one thing I'll point out, especially, is Hyper's made ground on Pocono.
Absolutely, I can see that the fact that really is like maybe going fast like Pocono's going, that might not be the play here at Watkins Glen. It's just that these cars are just going to be really punishing against those tires, and it might end up actually hurting him in the long run, even though he doesn't go.
Sorry to cut you off, but 11th is the first to make the jump into pit lane from 3rd, hoping to take the gamble that the stronger softs will get him through to the end of this race, hoping some people have to pit. Even maybe a caution coming out, as we are already on 1 tally. Only one other person has to wreck to cause the yellow flag to come out. And remember, we have a pit road is closed under yellow flag conditions rule, as B-Dog made the jump in as well. Great job for 11th. He didn't even fall till last after that. He falls back to 9th on fresh tires. And in front of him being Mission on worn softs, Joystick Justin on worn hards, and Tyro also on worn hards. So it shouldn't be too bad to get past them. And then from there, he'll have some free space to gain some time back on the rest of the pack. As Matt Morrick is the next car ahead, with very worn softs, and he's kind of in a world of his own. Too far from Tyro for that to be a struggle, but not enough ground on Guitar Hero or any of the other top 3. As Pocono's next to make the jump in, the leader comes into the pits here on lap 15, taking the gamble. Boring Peppers jumps in as well. Hyper stays out. Indeed, pit strategy is becoming key with these soft tires, trying to manage them. As Guitar Hero jumps up to second, Matt Morg is going to make the jump into the pits. Tyro sticking to the strategy with the hards. The guys on the racing hard are looking like geniuses right now, honestly. Now, they don't have to pit at all in the racing hards through these laps, as 11T is going to make the overtake on mission, the first of these one-tire cars. With Joystick Justin ahead, Pocono coming out in third, but he has a train of cars right behind him. Impressive for Pocono, the gap he had to the rest of these cars to pit from the lead and still coming out third. Watkins Glen does have a short pit road, but even still, Tyro is going to make the overtake around the outside, and now this is the live fight for third. Tyro has been out longer though, so he is going to be on more worn tires and still an inferior compound to the soft tires Pocono has, and Pocono is now going to have the room to gap these guys. Very lucky for Pocono to get ahead of these drivers. They jump on 11T. 11T now has to make this last pass by Tyro if he's going to still have a chance to keep on with Pocono, as now Pocono and 11T are sitting in the driver's seat as Guitar Hero and Hyper. They have a gap, but they have to maintain it, as their tires are very shot. 11T does get by Tyro. Tyro's going to fall back to fifth. The guys on the hard tires, I said they're looking smart, maybe not so much anymore, as now the guys on Racing Softs ahead of them, even after a pit, they still have the gap to get by. As next car to make the jump into the pits is on a mission out of that group. His tires were just too worn, so now he's gonna make the jump, fall to the back of the pack. Maybe the pit stop was too little too late for him, though. We will see. B-Dog sitting in 11th, Matt Morg making his pit sitting in 12th, Trent and the Racing Hard sitting in 10th, Wolfpack in 9th on soft tires that are worn. It might just be better for Wolfpack to stick it through the rest of the race. Lysis sitting on hard tires, Boring Peppers on soft tires looking to make his way back through the pack. He pitted a little bit later than the other leaders as well, so he has a little bit more work to do getting through these other pack of cars.
As Hyper picks up a 0.5 penalty here going to the front stretch, as we notice here. I want to point that out.
That is a good observation, as Hyper, our race leader, does take a 5/10 penalty. Probably not enough to give Guitar Hero a run at him right now, but that may come into play later on, especially with pit strategies. Every single tenth of a second, every single second you can have on this track does count with track position and pit times. As Tyro is going to fall back even further on this lead pack. 11T and Pocono have some work to do to catch the leaders, but they are on fresh tires, and they have about 8 laps to get this done. We're going to see if they can get it done indeed, as the two championship standings leaders, Pocono and 11T, almost on a very similar, same strategy, both of them putting down purple second sectors back to back, as 11T is following Pocono. 11T has to catch Pocono here, or at the very least, stick with him.
Absolutely, because if he doesn't catch Pocono, his chances of winning this race is going to go dismal. But I also want to remind people here is that even though Pocono is leading in front of 11T, once Pocono catches Guitar Hero, he still has to get past Guitar Hero and Hyper, which will give 11T a chance to catch back up. But it's really about how long can Hyper stay in the lead.
Guitar Hero go in. Guitar Hero finally making the jump into the pits. Another, maybe too little too late here. But we will see 11T and Pocono's tires drop off yet again towards the end of this race. So we'll see if Guitar Hero having fresher tires later into the race towards the very end might be beneficial, might not. As we're going to see where he comes out on track. He's going to fall behind pretty much everyone, possibly coming out in front of Lysis and Wolfpack's group. With B-Dog as well, making the run on Wolfpack, getting the 2-for-1 special. He's holding a 5/10 penalty right now, though. But he does get the 2-for-1 special on Wolfpack and Lysis through turn 1. Lysis's hard tires, even worn, are not competitive. Wolfpack's tires are a little bit too shot. B-Dog is on fresher tires than them. Though even him, his tires are still struggling yet again. So possibly some of these guys may have made the jump in too early based off of their tires. As Hyper it looks like he's still sticking to the strategy of making these tires last as long as he can, but these guys are gaining ground as Hyper's lap time this time around will be a 1:16.6. He's been sitting in the 1:16, 1:17 range a lot as Pocono is putting down high 113s, low 114s, with 11T joining him right behind. These guys are blazing up to the top of the order again. We have to see if Hyper can hold on for 6 more laps here at Watkins Glen International.
It's going to be quite a close one as we hope. I mean, it would be quite really refreshing to see Hyper win this race, but that'll be just jinxing him. But we see Pocono, it's making up a lot of tenths through the bus stop. I was monitoring him as he was going back into the pack. He was making up like 5 tenths. It was quite amazing. But listen, it's only about Hyper, but he's about Hyper not making mistakes, being consistent through these corners, and making sure that he makes the most out of each corner, and making sure that he minimizes the damage. But we see Pocono is absolutely blazing it, trying to catch Hyper. It's about realistically Pocono hoping that he can get past Hyper and making sure he regains the championship lead here at Watkins Glen. But as we notice, Hyper is going to be really slow. But you never know, Hyper could be the one hell of a defender against Pocono. As we can see, 11T also gaining slightly on Pocono, but not quite. You can see him trying really hard to make his way up to Pocono, but it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to fare out. As right now, all the drivers are kind of setting in another groove, driving around the track. As we see the back portion of the track, pack is going to be very close compared to the front portion. As we see Boring Peppers going around Tyro here, and for 4th. Boring Peppers going to make the pass to the S's, and Tyro's going to file right back in, make us going up to the bus stop. As we see, Tyro's going to be trying to lead right back into Boring Peppers. Tyro and Boring Peppers going to go 1-2 through the bus stop, and Boring Peppers will come out victorious with the fresher softs compared to Tyro's worn hards.
Yeah, so Boring Peppers, the last of those leaders to pit, finally getting past the last of the no-stop cars, as Boring Peppers runs up to 4th a little bit too late to make an impression on the front pack though. But pretty comfortable 4th for Boring Peppers, as we do see Pocono and 11T. What I was going to say a minute ago, before realizing my mic was not working, is that these guys, they were 7 to 10 seconds, whole seconds behind Hyper just 3 laps ago, and each lap they're gaining about 2 seconds on Hyper. So with less than 5 laps to go, and only 3 seconds the gap now, they should catch Hyper realistically maybe by the end of this lap, if not on lap 22. So right now Hyper taking the gamble not to pit, but he's kind of just a sitting duck right now, honestly.
Yeah, but I want to also point out here is that Pocono, he's got half more tire on the front left. He's not going to be pushing as hard, so as he closer he gets to Hyper, he's going to have more and more wear. It's all about Pocono. How am I going to get to Hyper here, but not waste so much of my tire to get there, so I can make that pass to him when I can to the last moment to make the win of the race. But as we see Hyper going around the final corner, it's like I said, it's going to be about managing that tire wear here. Oh, as we see Hyper hits that wall there, giving Pocono another second up to Hyper. It's going to be coming down to these last couple of laps here.
That's right. Pocono and 11T both making the push, wearing their own tires yet again. But Hyper's tires are so far shot. Again, there's not much he can do. Even Boring Peppers might get the overtake by the end of this race, as everyone is kind of catching him pretty solidly. Boring Peppers 13 seconds off the lead. 11T right behind, but Pocono has made the run on Hyper now into the draft, looking for a possible overtake into the bus stop, yet again setting another purple first sector. Hyper trying to defend all he can, but he's just unable to with that tire wear, as Pocono is going to make it look easy as he slots into the official lead of this race. Hyper looking to stick with. 11T's fallen back a little bit. Unfortunately for him, he has to make a push soon, possibly to try to fight Pocono. But Pocono is feeling comfortable with Hyper behind him now and 11T behind him. as with about 3 laps to go and no more cautions as soon as he crosses the line, he's feeling very comfortable since 11T still has to get past Hyper too. So Pocono has the room to make that gap and no real imminent threat from 11T, and Hyper is definitely not going to make the push back up to him at this point of the race. Roaring Pepper's just rounding turn 11 to get back to the front straight himself. Tyro in 5th.
Side with Hyper here.
11T is on the tail of Hyper into the S's out of the chute. Probably going to get the run into turn 5, looking to make the move there. Pocono made the move in the bus stop last time around. 11T looking to possibly make the same move on Hyper. This time he's going to take a look to the inside. Possibly going to make the move here. He's going to dive back in. Hyper's just too slow with the worn front left to get through that corner. He does make it just enough, but 11T's probably going to get the run on the inside through the carousel, as he will through turn 9 onto the exit, taking 2nd place. But he has some work to do to catch Pocono. Pocono is probably a bit too far gone, barring a mistake from him, as Hyper falls to 3rd. Roaring Peppers through the carousel. Tyro through the carousel. Joystick Justin through the carousel. B-Dog on soft tires, looking to catch the 2 guys on worn hards in front of him, but his front left is already pretty much shot yet again. So it's going to be a tall task, as Matt Morgan, Guitar Hero, are also hawking him down in 8th and 9th.
Absolutely. As we see Pocono and 11T, it's going to be quite interesting to see how 11T could possibly catch Pocono coming up in the final portions of this track. I also want to mention here that 11T is also and Pocono are about to get shot tires, so we could possibly see Hyper come back from being passed from these shot tires.
It's a possibility, but I don't know, maybe too little too late for Hyper. As we saw the pit strategy really come into play here this race, indeed, with these tires. 11T and Pocono made the pit at just the right time, as they were able to take advantage of Roaring Peppers going in late, Hyper not going in at all. Hyper took a very strong gamble, but it didn't pay off. Well, you could say it kind of paid off, because he's still in the top 3, but I know he definitely wanted to win this race outright, so this is a bit of a disappointing result, even still holding in 3rd though. But Roaring Peppers will be on his tail this final lap, but he has a 9-second gap, so he should be able to hold strong. As we sit here on the final lap, here at Watkins Glen, Pocono takes the white flag, runs a bit deep into turn 1. We're going to see 11T see if he can make a run on Pocono, the last chance he's going to get of the race, as this last lap will be the one that counts, as 11T gets through the S's. Pocono holding on in front into the bus stop straight, into the bus stop chicane.
11T is really closing in on Poco here, making up 5/10 to that first section here. He's now going to, it's now a 1.9 section difference here. As we see, it's being minimized second by second here. 11T right there with him. Now he's really pushing those tires, getting the last inch of what he has left in that tank. See if he can make it up to Pocono here.
Doesn't look like he's going to have enough time yet, though. As we're going to take a quick look behind. No real fights on the track right now other than these 2. We have some guys fighting kind of close. Some overtakes may happen on this last lap, but up front it's not going to happen, as Pocono's going to round turn 11 onto the front straight of Watkins Glen. And for this Challenger Series Week 3, Pocono is going to take his 2nd win of the season, with 11T coming into 2nd. Pocono extending his championship lead on 11T. Well, actually, no, I correct myself. No, 11T was in the lead of the championship, and Pocono only gained 2. No, he gained 1. Actually, no. 11T got the bonus point. We'll figure out points in a moment. It's Joystick Justin, Guitar Hero, side by side for 7. Justin's going to take 7. Guitar Hero got the run on the front straight, trying to make it side by side. The photo finish, not going to happen, as Joystick Justin takes 7th place. As now sorting out the points, as we're going to get Pocono into the booth here shortly. So, 11T was in the championship lead by 3 points. This is pretty much still mano-a-mano fight between these 2 for the championship right now, heading into week 4 of 5. Because 11T had a 3-point lead, and Pocono is sitting in second place, 3 points behind 11T, looking to make that gap done. Now, he won the race, but 11T finished second, and he got the fastest lap bonus point. So, all of that effort, great win for Pocono, but when it comes to the championship standings, for now evened out between the two, as 11T will still hold a 3-point lead on the championship standings for the Challenger Series heading into week 4.
Man, it's gonna be. I could see the rest of the season is that these two are gonna be battling it out. It's gonna be a gladiator match between Levante and Pocono here.
Congratulations to Pocono and 11T for a very hard-fought race. Congratulations to Hyper as well for holding on so well with those worn tires.
Like I said, there's multiple different strategies here today, and turns out the pitting for softs here halfway through the first stint, halfway through the race was the way to go here. But we saw even Hyper just holding it out for the entirety of the race, just holding those soft tires to the T and making sure he could stay up with them. And it turned out to pay off some dividends to make sure he can stay up there with them. But we also saw for some people it didn't work out with the pitting halfway through for some softs. But we also saw drivers on hard tires just trying to make sure they keep some points in the standings, as we saw them going for points rather than a win today with hard tires.
Very astute observation indeed, as that pit gamble, honestly, I think it was Pocono and 11T timed it just right. See, Boring Peppers waited a little bit too long. He did work his way back up to 4th, but with a little bit later stop from him, just not enough room to get back up there. Same situation for Guitar Hero and a couple other drivers who were fighting in that top 5-6 area, who were on the racing softs, made the gap early in the race, but ended up falling back due to pitting too early or too late. Mostly too late for those guys, as mentioned before, Pocono and 11T timed their stop just perfectly. So honestly, just very impressive for both of those drivers. And impressive from Hyper to hold on, taking the gamble. That really is a gamble not to take tires, especially here at Watkins Glen, where even on fresh tires, it can be easy to lose the back of the car sometimes on those curbs, and it's very easy to run wide and take time penalties. But Hyper held on very well, all things considered, taking in the last spot of the podium.
I also want to make one more statement here, as we noticed that those people who kind of pitted a little left late than Pocono and what was it? Levante here was essentially, I could see that they got caught back with the back markers there halfway through the race, and it really costed them. But as we see, Pocono is here with us in the booth.
Welcome in, Pocono, and congrats on winning that race. Very, very smart pit strategy and executed to a T. First, let's start there with the pit strategy. Was there a plan coming in, or was it just kind of halfway through the race thinking it was a very opportune time to make the move?
Yeah, me and B-Dog kind of calculated like how long it would take for a pit stop, and it was about 20 seconds. And at that point, it was worth doing softs the whole race, so we decided to do softs, and yeah, it panned out. It worked out.
You did very well, and especially with your championship competitor, 11T, taking the same strategy as you, but you were able to hold on from him throughout the entire race, both at the start of the race and after you both made your stops. What was going through your mind with that fight, both making it back up through the field and early on the race when you had your lead?
Yeah, after the pit stops, I really didn't even see him coming, and then I was about to pass whoever was in front of what's his name?
Hyper.
Okay. And yeah, I was trying to catch Hyper, and I was concentrating on Hyper, and I look back, and I see 3 seconds back is 11T. I was like, holy crap, I got to go faster. And I was concentrating on not getting a penalty. That's like the most important part of that track. So I was concentrating on that, and that worked out. And on the last lap, I had to go to 6 fuel conservation because I had 1 lap left as I was crossing the line, and it goes a little bit quicker than a lap. So I went to 6 with the last 2 turns, and I coasted across the line out of fuel.
Wow. So, halfway through the race, did you ever think that Hyper might be a problem, that you wouldn't be able to catch Hyper? Or was it like you constantly knew that Hyper was going to be so much slower and you would be able to catch him and win the race? Possibly.
Well, at first, I wasn't sure if I was going to catch him, and then I saw I was gaining probably about 2 seconds at the last, like, 5 to 10 laps, so at that point, I kind of knew I was going to be able to catch him as long as I didn't get a penalty, and that was, like, the main concern, just not to get a penalty, and that's when I started seeing 11T coming, so I had to kick it up a notch, and I got around him, and it worked out.
Alrighty.
You did a great job, Pocono, and yet again, congratulations and good luck continuing in this championship fight with 11T, as both of you guys are really going to be the main competitors going forward with the rest of the season. Looking forward to next week's race?
Yep, I'm excited. I'm not really good at rain tracks, so that's going to be scary, but we'll see what happens.
We will see indeed. Well, congratulations once again, Pocono, and hope to see you yet again in the booth at some point by the end of the season with your and 11T's fight. We're definitely going to be watching on with excitement. So, once again, congratulations, Pocono.
Yep, thank you.
Of course. As for everyone else watching, we're going to go ahead and close up shop here tonight. Thank you for coming out and watching me, 81, and Redline here in the booth. Be sure to check out the race tomorrow night for the Elite Series back here at Watkins Glen. They'll be running 40 laps, so the strategies will come together even more there. And then be sure to check out our races next week at the same times, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next Tuesday, the Sportsman Series will be taking on Tsukuba Circuit, while the Challenger and Elite Series will be taking on Spa. So be sure to check us out there. So until then, 81 signing out, Redline signing out with me. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and until then, see you next time.